Good afternoon, CIU podcast, the CIU Cabral International University podcast, especially at Barclay College of Law. And this is Dr. Williams, and I'm here with Professor Praise Kempson. So today we're going to be talking about, first year law school, the difficulties associated with law school, how it's really difficult, should I go to law school, or what is it like with, the law school, the first year, what is it like? So I'm going to have Professor Chris Kempson to take the lead on this and give us a take and see how we balance that difficulties the students experience in law school, how stressful, how demanding, mentally challenging it can be. And, you go through that and we'll see how we do that at our school to help our students. Okay. Go ahead, Professor.
Good morning, Dr. Williams, and thank you for having me. Well, law school is a process and a journey, and it is unlike any other education that you will have in undergraduate and graduate for that level. What law school is and what law school is not. Law school is not the traditional lecture type classes that you are used to attending in your undergraduate studies and in your graduate studies. Law school is a highly intense and individualized, focused program that puts the emphasis and the responsibility on the student, the learner. The method that most law schools teaching method they use is called the Socratic method. The Socratic method will be new to you when you begin law school because, as I said, it's not introduced in the graduate or undergraduate level. In that method, the students themselves are challenged to research and read and prepare for class on their own. They attend the lectures, they attend the classroom, the virtual classroom with their professor, and then they must basically brief in writing and verbally, orally, to their professor the cases, which is basically a briefing of the summary of the law provided with the relevant facts and applying those relevant facts to the law to draw some types of legal conclusions, legal summaries, either sometimes agreeing with the court or disagreeing with the court. And the students themselves, during this discourse, some of the students disagree with each other, right, which again is the very nature of the Socratic method. It is more student focused and student centric. So because of that, the professor is more of a facilitator, moderator, a guide, a mentor, if you will, through that legal maze of education. The first year, or 1Ls, as we particularly call them, will be your first introduction to this teaching method. And in that first year, you will take what's called foundational courses: civil procedure, constitutional law, criminal procedure, legal writing and research, torts. And as I like to teach my students, my job is basically to teach you 3 foundational principles. The first principle is reading like a lawyer. The second is writing like a lawyer. The third is speaking like a lawyer. Yeah. And each one of those is a learned skill, a practiced learned skill. This is why first year law school is so demanding and so tough. If it wasn't, everyone would be a lawyer.
You're a lawyer, but
so exactly, right? So first year for most people is daunting. It was for me, I'm sure as it was for you, doing the traditional work. We here at Kavala, especially at Barclay, are student-centric. And what I mean by that is the students themselves are still expected to maintain the high caliber and high quality of work as traditional law schools. You're still expected to brief the same cases. You're still expected to do the same amount of research. The only difference is you set your own time schedule. I, as your professor, am not going to tell you, hey, you should study 3 hours today. You should study 6 hours this weekend. You should study 4 hours. You should read this brief. You should read that brief. I'm not going to tell you how to conduct your research. I will guide you along the way and let you basically kind of teach yourself in the researching of the law. And the reason I love the Socratic method is because that method allows you, the individual student, to develop your own individual skills, your own individual style, which will help you when you get to your second and third year courses.
Yeah, and definitely, you know, that means we don't water down the material. We don't have a student come in and after dumping, they can just go through and say, oh, I got a JD, you know. Yes, it's a very demanding program, but we help because we're full student focus, we help our students. Professors make themselves available. But you know, one thing students have to understand, you can talk about this, elaborate on this. In traditional school, whether it's graduate school, whether it's undergraduate or graduate program, sometimes they can wait for the last minute, the last week or so, and they write a research paper. You know, they cram the material, they study hard, read the material, write a paper, and submit it to the professor. And so the professor look at conclusion, everything, wow, the introduction, conclusion, fine, they got an A. How is that different from law school?
So, law school, there's no such thing as cramming for a law school final.
Mhm.
Law school exams are comprehensive.
Mhm.
Traditional law schools usually have a single exam, which is a total comprehensive exam at the end of the semester, which constitutes 100% of your grade. Well, we do not do that here at Kavala. Myself personally, in my classes, I give you a midterm and I give you a final. That gives you a chance to gauge your legal research ability
Mhm.
up until that point, midway through the course, to see how you're doing, to see if you're on track and on par. And as I said, each week when we meet, the preparation is key, because if you've not read the required course material, you can't engage in class. And so participation, your weekly grade consists of both participation and preparation. The preparation portion of your grade is the written case briefs that you submit, as well as your discourse in class. Because if you've not read the material, there's no way you can be engaging with myself or your fellow students. So there's really no such thing as waiting till the last minute in law school. And as I told you, my job is to help you prepare to be a lawyer, to train you to think like a lawyer. And eventually, you're going to go into a courtroom. You're going to go into a boardroom. You're going to have a job to where people are going to look to you as the legal expert and say, okay, what should we do? And you can't research that the night before. You have to be able to speak to whatever subject or topic or question they're asking you. So the traditional method of cramming before a final exam just does not work in law school.
All right, it does. That's like you say, training them, training L1 first year law school student, taking them time from where they came from, the background of undergraduate or what course they're doing, PhD, or it's different. And you train them to develop that legal knowledge, legal skill, professional skill, gradually until they finish. So their thinking process, their professional life, everything is gradually changing. If you dump on the material and you just study and cram, nah, that's not going to help you develop your skill. Even if you have an A, obviously it's very impossible to really have an A in law school just from dumping. The professors really look for a specific material in terms of rules and principles application when they use the ARAC method. Well, thank you so much, Professor Kempson. This is another good section of our podcast. To all of our podcast listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Final word from you, Professor.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And I challenge each one of you to accept the law school. Do the challenge. Come to try it. Take your first year. You will be rewarded both personally and professionally with this degree.
Thank you very much. Students, you're listening.
Thank you.